Hello, I'm Minister William Edward Turner, and I'd like to welcome you to Pre Engagement Coaching Basics Day 2. So, hopefully, you're here and listed on. As we know, we always try to start on time and end on time because we understand that your time is precious as well as mine. So, we're going to page 17 now, and it continues the fast. 15, this part of the fast deals with 15 minutes of uninterrupted conversation. And I talk about that a little bit more because that uninterrupted conversation is oftentimes you got the telephone, you got text messages, you got the notice that you're supposed to be here, then, and this, that, and the other. You got people running into the room. You got all these different types of things. Now, whether that's 15 minutes in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening, you guys choose when that 15 minutes is going to be together. Now, for 40 days, that's a long time, but I have certain starter conversations that I want you to do for the first 8 days. And they begin plotting the path so you become comfortable with talking with each other, having that conversation, and they build up from there. And then after the 8 days, you can come and put in your own. So the first one is, as a child, what I wanted to be when I grew up. Now, for me, it was an astronaut, a fireman, and then later on, it was just grown, so I don't have to answer all your questions and do everything you ask and clean up after the dog. So it was all that stuff, But those were the things that I was concerned about. Then the next one, too, my favorite 3 songs. What are my favorite 3 songs? Oftentimes, in looking these things up and looking at your favorite 3 songs and them telling you your favorite 3 songs, it reveals things about how you feel emotionally about different things. It also opens doors to letting the person into your life, and that's what you're doing. This is the one that can get sticky if it's not done correctly, and that says, my parents' likes and dislikes. And one of the things is key is each talks about their own parents. It's not the place where you come in and say, well, your dad or your mom. No, it's we're talking about our parents. I talk about my dad. I talk about my mom. You talk about your dad. You talk about your mom. And the things that you like and dislike about them. Now, of course, we know our parents are marvelous and wonderful, and we love everything they do. But believe me, there are some things that we don't like, and we may not want to include those in our relationship in the future. One of the things that at the time I remember being young and saying, I don't want to whip my children, because it's like, I got a lot of whoopings. And so I didn't want to have that. But that was one of the things that I disliked at the time when I first began dealing with this kind of unity thing. And then number 4, where, when, and what I want to do when I retire. Oftentimes we don't discuss these future things until we get there. So there's no planning for it. There's no savings for it. There's nothing about it. So this begins moving from the now to the future. It helps you look at, because you may look at the future and say, hey, this is impossible. I'm not going where they're going. They're not going where I'm going. So maybe we need to keep this a friendship and not move any further. But those different types of things develop and come out in these conversations. Day number 5. What is my greatest desire or dream I want to accomplish in the near future? And don't be restrained because you don't want them to think it's wild. You don't want them to think that you're, outside the norm, or you're trying to fit into their personality, their lifestyle. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is say honestly what you wanted to accomplish. Oftentimes we struggle with my stuff got put on the back burner, but oftentimes your stuff was never truly expressed. How you wanted to do it, what was the time frame, or anything like that. It's like, well, I want to go back to college. Well, we didn't discuss when, how, and what, and we need to plan those kind of things. I hear it often is, I helped her go to college, and now they want to go off with somebody else. The same thing happens when I helped him go to college, and now he wants to go off with somebody else. Or now they look down on me because I don't have my college degree. Now, whether that's real or actually a self-conscious thing, we don't know. But we need to be sure that these are the type of things that we talk about and discuss, so that is not just something that went by like a whiz during a casual conversation. Number 6, what do you do that makes me feel loved and secure? Now, it's amazing that for guys versus ladies, this can be different things, and each one has their own, and you need to be specific with it. A lot of times we want to tie this into sex, but it's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about sex here. We're talking about the feeling of being loved. We're talking about the caring, those different types of things. What we're talking about is, how do I feel secure and safe when I'm with you? Taken care of, that kind of thing. I remember saying that I wanted to look like, and even now, I try to look like I'm married, even when I'm not married, because there's part of that feeling that goes with that says, that's a secure feeling that you have in your life. But I understand that's not always the case, but there are things that make me feel loved and make me feel secure as a male, as well as females have things that make them feel loved and secure. So that's discussion on day 6. Day 7, now we come up with our sex life and praise and questions. Now, all things other than praise, and that should be not as a question. Say all things other than praise as a question. And the reason I say that is because oftentimes when we make a statement, not only does it come out clumsily, it says that that's the fact, and it's usually rejected. It might be why you do certain things, or yeah, I like it when you do this, but why do you do that? And why is it that I gotta wait 3 o'clock in the morning, or whatever the thing is? Why? Not you make me wait till 3 o'clock in the morning. And then that's taken negatively and that kind of stuff. But nevertheless, this is one of the subjects where we begin, and after those 6 questions above, we should be ready at this stage to start digging into some deeper things. And that's why we have this question here. And it's not to beat each other up. It's to also, as I said, praise and questions. Praise about what you like. It may be just the liking, I like how you hold me. Because, see, sex is not just the physical penetration act. It's also how you talk to me, how you hold me, how you look at me. All those different kinds of things go into that. And then, number 8, day 8, the moment I first knew I loved you and wanted to marry you. That's one of the things that we talk about. That's usually a good conversation, but sometimes it can be a strain if the other person doesn't want to marry you. You know, but it also brings that out, brings it to the point. So these are the first 8 questions that we start on that 15 minutes of uninterrupted conversation. And that means you put the phone down, put it in the other room, turn the laptop off, the TV off, and all those different types of things off. One of the things that you see this note here, consult your physician or mental health professional for persistent, unresolved problems. Sometimes it may reveal that there are some issues and problems here during this time that you may need to deal with, and they may require situations that are dealing with medical, like somebody may be having pain, or, that's why they do such and such during when they have sex. All those different kinds of things fall out. And that's mainly after you get married. But, we're talking about the sexual thing that makes me feel good and that I like, not necessarily intercourse, as I said before, because it actually begins long before you have intercourse, even for the male. Okay, now I mentioned in the beginning no negative conversations and no displays of anger. And I remember saying, what do you mean no negative conversation and no displays of anger? I said, we all get mad sometimes. Yes, we do get upset and we do get angry at times, but it's our behavior afterward that often does the most damage. Our behavior sometimes creates damage that is unrepairable. And, but we can control that behavior when we're upset and angered, and we do it all the time. And the favorite place we like to do it is at work. When Jesse ate my sandwich out the refrigerator, or when the boss came in and told me some crazy stuff about what I didn't do and I know it wasn't me, and I'm angry, or just told me some crazy stuff, period. Or sent me somewhere where I didn't really want to go, all those different kinds of things. We come up and find an easier, non-offensive, non-threatening way to express ourselves without being showing a negative conversation or displays of anger. We use words like, oh, I understand. That's a different viewpoint than I have. Things like that. We develop those skills. And oftentimes, we're great at doing it at work, but it's at home where it needs to be done the most. Because, as we said, we want to maintain those good relationships and work and get that paycheck. But at home is where we need to respect our relationship, where there's no one that should be respected and esteemed and show admiration for than the person you're in a relationship and your family. No negative conversations and no displays of anger is a demonstration of love. It says that I value you, that I value you so much so that I'm going to make sure that our relationship is peaceful. You are not the one that I take out on what happened at work. You are not the one that I have my burst of anger because I'm frustrated with everything else. That is not what we're cultivating. And see, the first part of this fast was cultivating that communication so that we could get to this part, even though this was the first statement said. But this is how this works. And as we build our relationship, that commitment to no negative conversation and no displays of anger causes us to seek ways of telling the truth in love or with love. Now, that's scriptural. I know you heard it before, but we need to tell the truth in love and with love so that we understand. And oftentimes that, as it says, a word fitly spoken. And when we say the right things, we keep the mess down. We keep the stress down. We keep the confusion down. We keep the conflict down. And sometimes saying the right thing is saying nothing, and that works at work. And you might have a better understanding after you walk away. You understand that they have limited knowledge. Example, I remember I was doing a job and the supervisor, he was new, and he come through and said, well, you need to put some this in there and that'll keep it clean, da 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 da. Well, he didn't understand that we've already tried all these methods and that your method, and going out and buying special stuff and all this kind of stuff is only going to create a greater problem. And then we have to clean all that stuff out in order to do this kind of thing, in order to get it clean again. So I didn't say anything. I let him try it so that he could see for himself. And sometimes that's what you have to do, is just be quiet and let things move along. Okay. To show basically, as I said, is to show we understand that other than God, our peace, joy, comfort, and security from the outside world begins with our family and the person that we're in a relationship, our spouse. While we're laying the groundwork of respect and treating each other, how to treat all people. One of the things about no negative conversations and no displays of anger is that if you have children get to see how you handle stuff. And when they see how you handle things, what happens is they begin to model that way in their lives. So when we're talking about kids getting arrested, kids getting shot, because of they feel, oh, you're disrespecting me, they understand about knowing when to be quiet, knowing when to not say anything and move on their way, knowing when to not go out screaming and hollering and all that kind of stuff, because they will demonstrate what we practice. We might say you shouldn't say this or you should not say that, but they're going to demonstrate what we practice. So this becomes a part of keeping your family safe from the outer society. And particularly as African Americans, we have to deal with the police and all these other things that come against us. The police, the Karens, and all those things that are attacking us from the outside in order to maintain our life. But learning how to have no negative conversations and no displays of anger help us in being in control of ourselves. Yes, there are things you might get upset about, but there's ways of handling that settle the issue rather than ways of handling that cause greater conflict. In order to help you, one of the things that I do is usually start off with a 30-day challenge. And that 30-day challenge is each time you make a negative statement of any kind, you put $1 in a special place or in a special jar, or you can just use a penny. You put a penny in a jar. You don't have dollars to put away. Just use a penny. And then if you have each time you act out in anger, you put $5, or you can put a nickel in, that kind of thing. And then at the end of the day, whoever has less than $10, and it may be less than $1 of pennies, they can keep it, but those who have more has to give it to the person who has the least. The key is controlling your spirit, thinking and the words that you say, being teachable and having the courage to change. Because oftentimes we know what we should do, but we don't want to do it because we've been used to doing things this way.